This episode is brought to you by my online workshop, 5 Steps to Healing Your Child's Eczema Naturally. This is the culmination of years of my naturopathic practice, working with hundreds of families to help improve and heal their kids' eczema. And the workshop is all about addressing the cause and eliminating your child's eczema once and for all. In this workshop, I walk you through my 5-step naturopathic action plan to heal your child's eczema. And you get some great bonuses with the workshop as well. And as soon as you sign up for the workshop, you get instant access. So you can watch at your convenience. You can go and check it out at naturalsuperkids.com/eczema. And let's get on with today's episode. Welcome to the Natural Super Kids podcast, where you will discover practical strategies to inspire you to boost the health and nutrition of your kids. I'm Jessica Donovan, a qualified naturopath specialising in kids' health, and I want to make it as easy as possible for you to raise healthy and happy kids. Let's get into it. So in this second episode of our 2-part eczema podcast series, I really want to concentrate on the gut and how factors within our child's gut health can really contribute to both the prevalence and the severity of eczema, but also in the healing and the reduction of eczema if we can address these factors. And I, as a naturopath that's worked with hundreds of families that have been affected by eczema, it is always the place that I start is gut health, because it has such a big impact, and it really is, one of the biggest contributors when it comes to overall inflammation in our kids' bodies, and that skin inflammation particularly that can lead to eczema as well. So if you haven't listened to last week's episode, make sure you do, because we sort of cover some other topics, particularly some of the causes when it comes to our modern day diets and lifestyles that are leading to such a high prevalence of eczema. So when it comes to the gut, there are a few different things that I really want to focus on today. The first one is dysbiosis. So dysbiosis is really another word for an imbalance in the gut bacteria. And when there is an imbalance in the gut microbiome, otherwise known as dysbiosis, this leads to inflammation throughout the body, including the skin. And more and more children and people have this situation of dysbiosis, and that is because the things that cause dysbiosis are, number one, a low fiber diet, so not getting enough of those natural fruits and vegetables and whole grains in the diet lead to an imbalance of the gut bacteria. The second one, which goes hand in hand with that low fiber diet, is a highly processed diet, which is naturally or unnaturally low in fiber. The use of medications such as antibiotics can lead to dysbiosis, and also the use of antibacterial products such as cleaners and hand sanitizers can affect the prevalence of the good bacteria within our gut and lead to dysbiosis. So as you can see, many of these are really common for children. And although, there needs to be more research in this area, and this area of research is relatively new, science does support the link between dysbiosis and eczema. Research has found that people with eczema have a different balance of gut bacteria compared to those without eczema. And there's also evidence to suggest that using specific strains of probiotics can alleviate eczema. So, that's really promising. The researchers believe that these good bacteria can reduce inflammation that is caused by an allergic or a sensitivity sort of response. So to address that dysbiosis, we need to treat it from the inside out. And this is one of the reasons that I'm always talking about the importance of an internal approach when it comes to eczema, not just thinking about the creams that you're putting on the skin, but addressing these internal imbalances that can lead to eczema. And if you want to know more about the specifics, we go into that in the eczema workshop that is now available. And I've popped the links, all the links that you need to that in the show notes. So the other factor when it comes to the gut and eczema is leaky gut, otherwise known as intestinal permeability. So this is not really a condition that is recognized by mainstream medicine. But when you look at the research on intestinal permeability, there's a lot that backs it up. But if you go and talk to your doctor about leaky gut, chances are they will probably say, I've never heard of it, or it's not a real thing. But there is a lot of research to back up the fact that, this intestinal permeability can lead to a whole range of issues, including eczema. So what is leaky gut? Let me explain this to you in layman's terms to start. So if you think about the gut like a tube, and food passes through, and we only absorb what we need. But when damage occurs to this tube, holes can develop, very small microscopic holes, which allows undigested food to enter into the bloodstream, so to leak through the gut into the bloodstream in an undigested sort of state. And when undigested food is in the bloodstream, the immune system responds because it doesn't recognize these big kind of particles of food and protein, and it responds by causing inflammation. And so this can lead also to intolerances and sensitivities because the body now sees that food as the enemy. And this is what is known as leaky gut. And a really interesting little fact is that the gut lining, so this tube that we're talking about, is only as thick as our eyelid. So it's really prone to damage, and there's all kinds of things within our diet and our environment that can lead to damage of the gut wall. And because of the inflammatory and the immune response that happens with leaky gut, that can lead to more skin inflammation. And also, as we talked about, it makes a child more sensitive. So they have more triggers when it comes to foods and environmental substances that can lead to eczema symptoms. So research has actually shown and backed up that leaky gut is prevalent in kids with atopic eczema. Now, leaky gut is a common condition thanks to our modern diet and lifestyle. So when we don't eat enough fibre from fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes and nuts and seeds, our microbes, our good bacteria, doesn't have a food source, so it starves. And this allows the bad bacteria or the pathogenic bacteria to thrive and overgrow. Without fibre as a fuel, some microbes will eat the protective layer, the mucus layer of the gut that keeps it healthy. So the good microbes also produce short-chain fatty acids that nourish the gut lining. So you can see how this kind of, situation can lead to leaky gut. So you don't have enough of the good bacteria, which produces the short-chain fatty acids that nourish the gut lining, and you have an overgrowth of the bad bacteria or the pathogenic bacteria, which actually leads to this dysbiosis and leaky gut sort of situation. So we need that happy balance of bacteria for a healthy gut. So dysbiosis and leaky gut often go hand in hand. The situation of dysbiosis over time leads to leaky gut. And so these two things are big contributors when it comes to overall inflammation in our bodies and inflammation of the skin. So these are just a couple of examples of how imbalances and conditions of the gut can lead to or contribute to eczema. So I hope that's helped to give you a better understanding of that all-important link between gut health and eczema. But of course, eczema is a multifactorial condition. It's not just gut health that contributes to eczema. It is diet, and it's the immune system, and it's allergy tolerance, and it's nutrient levels. So to get a real overview of, my approach that I've had such great success with in treating kids with eczema, head on over and check out the eczema workshop that we now have available. You can head on over to naturalsuperkids.com/eczema. The link will also be in the show notes. And in that workshop, I walk you through my 5-step naturopathic approach to healing eczema once and for all. I know you'll love it. I've been getting some really great feedback from this workshop. So head on over and check it out, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. Head on over to our website, naturalsuperkids.com, for the show notes for this episode, as well as a whole heap of inspiration to help you raise healthy and happy kids. I'll see you next week.